Hello, everyone. Welcome to Laveda TV. I told you this where we share issues about matters about life. We share about things happening in the realm of the spirit. So today I want to talk about one very important topic. I told you that I'm going to tackle this issue sometimes back. It is always very important, and I found this very important to enlighten you about this matter because it have really stressed so many people. It have really struggled so many people without their realization. Today I want to talk about the power of your home area altar, or the power of your grandfather altar or your grandmother altars. If you're not careful about these altars, they might be affecting your life in one way or another. I told you, because the reason that you don't know, it doesn't mean that that thing that you don't know is not affecting you. Therefore, the power of an altar. I told you, the power, you cannot underestimate the power of the altars from where you are born. These were altars that were surfaced so many years ago. They used to be slaughtered for. Other people surface them in one way or another, and there is nothing as powerful as an altar that has been surfaced through blood sacrifices. So that you find that most people, there are people who are struggling to get out of their way. They are struggling to get out of their struggle or their struggling life. Their life is at stake. Their life is stuck. They are not able to move out of the situation they are in, and they don't know it is it's because some altars from their home area or the altars from where they were born are affecting them. Therefore, you're not supposed to underestimate these altars. If your grandmother or grandfather used to have a certain wrong altar, and you're not in a position to deal with it, or you never raised or you never stood to your ground to bring these altars down, you find that at one given time you will come to struggle. You will come to cry in one point or the other in life. And sometimes you might find that it is getting so hard for you. It is becoming so difficult for you. It is becoming so tough for you to deal with these situations. Therefore, it's always very wise. It's very educative every time when you're of age, or when you are mature enough, start dealing with this altar. I told you this altar Lily stressed someone who was called Gideon in the Bible, and and the altar from his home area really blocked him from achieving whatever God wanted him to achieve. So it's a high time that you realize. It's high time that you realize these altars are, are as lives as now. They are operating. Therefore, you're supposed to start engaging with it. And always when I teach about altars, you're supposed to understand that you cannot bring down an altar without through prayers. Altars are always engaged through sacrifices. It's only that you need to sacrifice for an altar, or you need to do a sacrifice for you to pull it down these altars. Otherwise, just like that, you're not going to bring them down. And there are so many things. I told you that there are so many things to check for you to understand, or for you to enable you, or you, so that you can know whether you are under operating at a certain altar. I told you that in every area in your life, things that controls you or things that controls a certain area are altars. Either you are controlled by that altar knowingly or unknowingly, because so many people have been being controlled. They are under certain control of certain altar without their knowledge. You find that even this in certain countries, there are certain altars that talk in those countries without their knowledge, and those altar demand their resurfacing. So when you find that most of the time they are erupt, maybe they are erupt things that will make that will demand the blood for those altars. And when these elapse, maybe flackers elapse, there must be people who are serving. They are servicing these altars. There have to be people who will die for them to service these altars. Therefore, you cannot just ignore those altars and maybe you say. You say that they are not powerful. You cannot stand to ignore these altars. Therefore, you have to stand on your ground. And one thing to know that there is an altar operating in your family. You only need to check, or you only need to check that your family traits. There are things that you really need to check, and from there you understand there is an altar, certain altar that is operating within you. Mostly, if you check in your family tree and you find there are diseases in that family, that diseases that you cannot just eliminate by take of it, or they are not, they are just diseases that even if you take to hospital, that you cannot eliminate them. Some other factors are like broken marriages. Some other things are like drunkenness. Some other things are like there are so many things. There are drug addictions and so forth and so forth that you're supposed to end that. Some other things are like calamities that you find that in a certain home area you cannot keep certain livestock, you cannot have certain things. If you try to start a certain business in a certain family, it becomes a fight for you. It's become a struggle. You're supposed to understand that in other families, they don't struggle as same. They don't struggle as the way you are struggling. Therefore, you are supposed to always to understand and learn about this science. I told you that right now, according to how they've educated you, you're supposed to be wise enough every time that maybe you get into a certain homestead. Maybe you want to get married, you want to marry a certain person from a certain family. Maybe you want to get married from a certain home. You're supposed, every time you get into that home, there is a quick screening that you are supposed to do for you to understand the kind of altars that you engage in that home. Otherwise, if you don't engage or if you don't understand the kind of altar that you are dealing with, you might find at one point or the other losing, because they will fight your marriage, they will fight your life, they will fight your finances, they will fight your progress, and they will fight everything about you. And sometimes, and some, in mostly, you find that people are in struggle. They are in certain struggle that they don't understand where they emanated from, without realizing that there are certain altars that have been speaking from their home areas, from where they were born. Others are where they got married into. You are married into a home whereby altar are speaking into that place. Those people have not gone to a point of dealing with their grandfathers and grandmothers' altar. Remember, if your grandmother or if your grandfather was a witch, if your grandfather or your grandmother was operating at a certain evil altar, there is no way you are going to escape from this, because God says, according to the Bible, it says that I'm going to pass the ill of your siblings up to the fourth generation. So you find that things are passing up from one generation to the other, and they will affect you if you just stay and sit back and don't realize that there is an altar that is operating in your family. You might find your life losing. You might really struggle before you understand the whole mess. And it will really take you long for you to stand and fight these altars. And if you realize, it is very easy for you to engage a certain altar if you realize the base of it. If you realize where a certain altar is coming from, it is very easy for you to deal with it. if it is a altar of marriage breakage, if it's an altar of calamity, if it is an altar of accidents, because there are certain homesteads or certain homes whereby you find that after a certain period of time, maybe a duration of 3 months, 3 years, or 5 years, or what, because always the devil will use a certain threat. The devil will use a certain pattern. The one way to realize issues about the devil is the devil will always use certain threads, a certain pattern. They always use a certain pattern. So after maybe 3 years or certain period of time, maybe 3 months or so, you'll find that a certain pattern is repeating itself. So if you find someone died 3 years ago, you find that after 3 years, that altar is going to demand for another person. So it's always very wise you stand on your ground, start engaging this altar. And you are supposed to understand you can always bring this altar through engaging or raising a certain a sacrifice or a certain altar. I told you an altar is where exchange happen. So if you want to bring down a certain powerful spiritual matter, you have to raise your altar up, and then you have to receive exchange. You have to receive your spiritual power so that you can be able to engage this altar. And these altars are not just like they are not simple. Don't underestimate them. Sometimes there are people who have gone ahead to fight these altars, and maybe at one point or the other they got sick. Therefore, you're not supposed to ignore these altars. Every time that you are in the middle or in the midst of a certain altar that is talking in your life, you're not supposed to ignore it. You're not just supposed to sit back and think this is just a normality. You're not supposed to sit down and think that is just a normal thing, because these things will hurt you. It will, at one given point, pull you down without your realization, without your knowledge. Therefore, it's always wise whenever you find or whenever you find that there is an altar talking in your life, always fight back. Try as much as possible. Try to rise and think about it, and try on how you are going to engage on this altar. Fight it, so that you see you cannot stay on a life of deny. I mean, on a life of quagmire. You cannot just be settled back on or be settled on a certain position. You need to rise up and walk ahead of your life, because there is nothing. I told you, there is nothing as bad as when you are being held. When you are held in a cage, when you are held in a prison, it becomes very difficult for you to handle life. Life for you becomes too tough. You're going to find that some things, some people, there are some people who are doing things very simply, in a simple way. But for you, it becomes so tough. Therefore, always rise, like the way Gideon did. Rise to fight the altar from your home area. Rise to fight an altar, those altar from your generation. And how are you going to do it? You have to look for a painful sacrifice. Pray about it. Always pray to God that God will direct you. And according to the Bible, according to how God did put it, He really categorized all sort of altars. It does not mean because you don't have a certain, you are not well up, that you cannot raise an altar. Altar starts from a certain levels. It is started from the level of doves. It went all the way to the level of bulls. So it doesn't matter the kind of an altar that you have. God will multiply it into a bigger altar, and it will always speak as powerfully as the way it could have spoke if you could have could have engaged in a bigger altar. Remember, in God's world, there is nothing too small. Everything to God in God's world counts. It's always in the devil's world whereby they categorize you, they limit you. But in God's kingdom, you're supposed to understand that whatever amount you have, remember that woman who contributed the very less amount, the small amount, that woman, that God, I mean, Jesus said to that woman, he has contributed as much as he could never have imagined. People in their eyes, in their physical eyes, used to think that maybe according to them, they saw as as if that sacrifice was not recognized in the realm of the spirit. But Jesus really recognized it as big as people could not have imagined. So it's always very wise, whatever amount you have, whatever you only need is someone who is upright, someone who we can do an altar or a certain altar that can speak on your behalf. A clear one, a good altar, that will speak on your behalf. And then from there, you find that things will be easy for you. Things will be simple. Just rise up. Don't ignore these altars, because these altars might come to haunt you. Some of the people that I'm talking to you here, maybe some of the people that I'm talking with, are really struggling out of these things. Maybe you've been struggling and you don't know whatever has been haunting you. You really need to recheck. First of all, assess yourself. Look or do a clean check of your family. If there are things, some of the things of the things that I've really mentioned here, you're supposed to understand that there is a certain altar that is operating in your life. And there is nothing as good as if you find your parents were able to engage and fight those altars, because you'll find that you're in your life, you'll not have struggles. You'll not really struggle in your life as long as there someone stood and dealt with a certain altar in your family. And people are going through hard times without their realization. People are trying things out, in and out, but they cannot succeed in it, because there are certain things that are speaking against their life. There are certain things that are speaking against their success. There are some things, there are some limits that you cannot go beyond. Maybe your altar from your area, or the altar from where you come from, is dictating that you are not supposed to go beyond a certain amount of money. Maybe you're not supposed to go beyond 2 million. You're not supposed to go beyond 10 million, 1 million, 500,000. If you not stand and engage this altar, there is no given point of life that you are going to go beyond that. And you'll find that even when you have, after your generation, maybe the generation after you, they will not be able to go beyond that. So they will really, the demons are going to stress you up from you up to the generation that they are going to realize that they can engage and pull down this altar. It is always very wise that every time that you understand that there is an altar that is speaking against your will in your family or in your life, you engage them and bring it down. And the way you can bring this altar is by through prayers. You only bring altars, you only bring down altars through prayers and doing sacrifices and doing painful one. It's not just a sacrifice. You have to engage and make a painful sacrifice, and then from there you pray to God, and then God will listen to you. He will be able to pull this altar down, and also the clarity and the purity of an altar that you are engaging with. You just don't go around raising altars from any altar you find around. Make a prayer. Tell God to direct you to the right man of God or to the right altar of God, so that whenever you raise an altar from that point, it will speak on your behalf. And an altar is so powerful such that it will speak for 1,000 years. The sacrifice, an altar that was raised by Jesus Christ so many years ago, right now, 2,000 years, past 2,000 years, it is still talking today. It is still speaking on behalf of so many people, even today. It's life. Therefore, when you raise an altar, it will never go down unless there comes another person who will going to mess that altar. And remember, the very way, if you raise a godly altar, the way it can be messed, it's the same way that you can mess a demonic altar. If your grandmother, if your grandfather lays a certain wrong altar, forget about these people who will tell you, who are telling you that you are supposed to service an altar through slaughtering. They are going. You are supposed to service an altar through doing what? In the Bible, nowhere in the Bible that teaches you that you're supposed to surface an altar through a blood sacrifice. All those things, when Jesus Christ came, he declared that he was a final sacrifice. When he came and he was crucified, the blood that he shed on the cross was enough to fight for you. Whatever you only need to do is because you really need to keep this sacrifice alive and to resurface this one, you are supposed to look for something and you engage with a certain altar so that it can fight for you. Business wise, world wise, in whichever area you go, and whichever whatever. I want you to know that in the realm of the spirit there is no time. In the realm of the spirit there is no distance. Therefore, if there is an altar that is talking against your wife or your life or your will, you will find that even if you are in whatever point of this world, in the realm of the spirit, there is nothing there is nothing as time. There is nothing as distance. So whenever in whichever point you are in this world, you'll find that those altar without you. It doesn't matter whether you go. And you see demons always work like Bluetooth. Whenever you go, you'll find demons of the same sort that will haunt you. Therefore, if there are demons of financial struggle, or if there are demons of accidents, if there are demons of diseases, if there are demons of marriage divorces on the like, you find they are haunting you even when you go abroad, or even when you are in your area. Wherever you be, these altars will haunt you. These things will haunt you because they are in the realm of the spirit. There is nothing as distance and there is nothing as time. So you find that the altar that were laid some years back, so many years back, it is still as powerful as now. It is still operating even right now. And if you don't engage it, you're supposed to understand that it will mess you. At any given point, I know you have understood. And maybe you like me to expound more, or maybe you just you wish maybe I can help you more. This just leave and your email down here on your on the comment line, and then maybe I'll just going to respond privately so that I can take you through. And you are supposed to understand all my videos, the videos that I'm doing, they are spiritual oriented. If you believe in yourself, if you believe that whatever I'm telling you is powerful, because I carry spirits of making things happen. I carry the power in the spirit of making the struggles that you are going through. I engage the whatever you are going through. Through the blood of Jesus, that I will make sure that it will reach to a net. So whatever I'm releasing right here, I told you yesterday, I told you through another video that the power that once holds has spirits. It carry power. The words carries power. Therefore, when I declare these things and you have the faith in yourself, you'll find that there, in one point or the other, there are some things I've managed to pull down in your lives. Therefore, I know that you are going to get something out of it, and I know God is going to bless you so gladly, and I am very happy that maybe I'm making a positive move in your life, and I know God is going to bless you. So thank you very much. Feel free and also share as much as possible. Subscribe to our video, and don't forget to ring that bell, to tap on that bell, and also leave comments, like our videos, and keep on maybe engaging or telling us the topics that you love to us to handle. Maybe I'll be in a position of handling it next time. Thank you very much, and God bless you.